Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode. Giving it that second chance might just change your mind.
Here, we take that chance for you and let you know if a show's worth more than just one shot.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh. Now, let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight intermediate this time will be web therapy.
So Web Therapy is a show from...
It's a scam.
From the middle...
I know about BetterHelp. It's a scam.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a scam. That's all we have to say. Really, you don't want to invest your time in it. It's not... They're not even licensed therapists most of the time.
At best, they're counselors, which means they probably have like a 4-year degree, whether it's a bachelor, whether it's BA or BS, in some form of psychology.
Oh, it's all going to be BS.
True. But, yeah, no. Like, counselors can do good work, but that's assuming you actually get someone who is qualified to be an actual counselor, not someone who's just like, I saw they were hiring, and what are my qualifications for helping people through mental problems or life problems? I don't know, man. I had a job at McDonald's, and then I worked at Walmart. Both completely viable jobs, but not really qualifiers for mental help.
Mm-hmm. But, jokes aside, Web Therapy...
No, that was a joke. The referencing in it was a joke, just to be clear.
Web Therapy is I think it was 2020, maybe 2021, YouTube original series.
Yes.
Not like published by YouTube, but original
a web series that appeared on YouTube.
And it came out during COVID, obviously, because, the entire setup is, 2 webcams.
Yes. They got, 2 other fixed cams, but yeah.
You know, the wild thing is, everything I just said sounds 100% correct, and if you watch the show, you would believe me.
But he's just lying to you.
The show came out in, 2011?
Yeah, fucking wild.
Or 2013. It was in that period. A decade before COVID. And it stars and is hosted by Friends alumni Lisa Kudrow.
Yes.
And I'm talking right now, and this feels like that time we talked about the show Shadowed Faith.
Yeah.
It feels like everything I'm saying is a lie. Every single bit of it. Because, none of this sounds real. Lisa Kudrow made a show for free on YouTube.
Yeah. And it's run both on YouTube and when it ended up on HBO, because it got picked up by HBO at some point, has, other celebrities you'll recognize as well. I don't know when each appears, but you'll recognize her co-star for the first 2 episodes, Tim Bagel. You may not recognize his name, but you will recognize him visually when you see him and hear him, especially when you hear him. I think his voice is his, most defining selling point.
I recognized him, and I don't even know people.
Yeah. But it's fucking wild. And if you don't believe us, you can go on YouTube and search it. You won't find the original posts of it, but you can still find it.
Mm-hmm. The show still exists on YouTube, which is wild.
I think the version we watched had baked-in subtitles in Portuguese, I want to say.
It did look like Portuguese.
Yeah, it had overlap with, Italian and Spanish, but wasn't either.
I can recognize...
And that's normally my guess for Portuguese, but I've been wrong before.
I can recognize Spanish when I see it, like how I can recognize Japanese versus other Asian languages when I see it, which means when I don't recognize it, but it looks like Spanish, I go... Is that Portuguese?
That is my normal one, yeah. Or, if I hear someone talking in Spanish, or what I think in Spanish, I'm probably like, okay, I'm understanding, 60% of what you're saying. Okay, now I understand, 20% of what you're saying. That's not a Spanish. Are you speaking Portuguese? Yeah. As
somebody vaguely fluent in German, same thing happens when people speak, Norwegian or Swedish.
Yeah.
Those sound like words, and, I'm sure, the components are similar, but those aren't words I know.
Yeah. Not that any of that matters as to the review or us having watched it. Just, you can find it. You might have subtitles that you can't read on the screen. Oh, no.
But every episode is introduced, and not introduced like the Crypt Keeper gives you, a rundown of what you're going to see, but introduces
I kind of wish.
Lisa Kudrow's character is standing behind her desk, and she goes, "I'm Fiona Wallace, and this is web therapy." And then we get a little bit of an OP. I guess it's an opening.
Title card, really?
It's a title card with a jingle, and a mouse clicks a green button, and now the screen is a Windows screen.
Yes.
With 2 Skype boxes. One with Lisa Kudrow in it, one with her patient in it.
Yeah.
And in this case, her patient is a man named Richard, who Justice told you the name of the actor.
Yeah. Just to...
Who is the actor?
Tim Bagley.
There you go.
But just to, help with the dating of this episode, I never remember what it's called. Is it Air Fruitero?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it Air Fruitero, the, mid to late 2000s, tech...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Design aesthetic?
I think those words are correct.
I'm not sure if that's correct. I think it's close, if not correct. And this very much has that, the bubble shape of the web call. Even the green circle behind the word web, when we get the title code for web therapy, and the font used is very similar to that style.
It's all very boba.
Yeah. And then the background is not exactly, but almost the green hills from Windows XP.
I should explain to flyers who are not aware of what boba is. Boba and Cake and Kiki are part of a experiment where scientists had people of different languages and cultures identify which shape was boba and which shape was Kiki by just telling them that these were the names for these 2 shapes. And one shape was smooth and curvy.
So close.
And the other shape was jagged and pointy. Yeah. And regardless of language and culture, the majority of people would assign Kiki to the sharp pointy one.
Yes.
And boba to the soft curved one.
Yes. I was so close. It's Frutiger Arrow.
Frutiger Arrow. Frutiger Arrow is very boba.
Yeah. My brain made Arrow English and changed Frutiger to Fruitero, which I think is Spanish. I just did some language swappy stuff. It's fine. But yeah, it's very Frutiger Arrow-esque.
So the episode opens with Fiona welcoming Richard into their session.
And being like, it's been so long since I've seen you. You seem to be doing all right.
How did you hear about my new therapy gimmick?
Yeah. And Richard's like, well, me and some of the guys at Lockman Brothers were standing around the water cooler talking. And then they go through a bunch of list of names, and she's referencing people, he's referencing people. So clearly she has some history with the people at Lockman Brothers, at least.
The only, actual important part of this is when she goes, was Jeremy there? And he goes, Jeremy's not there anymore. And she goes, well, his opinion never counted for anything anyways.
Yeah, and then Richard agrees.
Also, I didn't say it at the start of this, but the name of this episode is An Old Flame Part 1.
Yes.
And yes, that does mean the second episode is An Old Flame Part 2.
Actually, the third episode is An Old Flame Part 3 as well.
Holy Jesus. But yeah, so they're talking about Lockman Brothers, and he confides in her that he's never done therapy before. He doesn't really know if he's going to like it, so this whole 3-minute thing seems to be a good way to test it out.
And she's like, it'll be great. It's nothing like everything else. I've done the whole 50 minutes. Tell me about your dreams, your childhood memories, how you're feeling.
Your life experiences.
We're not going to do it with any of that.
And honestly, that's a whole bunch of nothing, and it's just a mess of me listening to stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I'll make sure not to mention any of that. And she's like, no, unless it's important. He's like, how would I know if it's important? And she stumbles from her, I'll guide you. Yeah.
Yeah. So she begins by assuming that he is suffering from heartbreak because of their incident at Lockman Brothers.
Yeah, because the first thing she does is you look pretty well. I can't tell if you gained or lost weight because the clothes you're wearing, because when they first start the call, he's not wearing his glasses and he's dressed up a bit, seemingly trying to make a good impression. And she's like, you don't have to dress up for therapy. And then later he's like, because of what you're wearing, I can't tell if you've lost or gained weight, but either of those is a common reaction to heartbreak and what you've been going through. And he's like, what? And she's like, well, our thing, the incident.
And he's like, but that was all you. I'm fine.
Yeah, you wanted me to kiss you.
You were trying to get me to kiss you. And she's like, oh, no, I'm married, and obviously I would never want that. You misinterpreted it.
He's like, I think you made it pretty clear. And she's like, I guess you could interpret shut the door behind you that way.
I just wanted privacy, but I guess if you took that to mean that I wanted to, do something with you, and she goes through this list of, that he must have misinterpreted, he's like, you complimented my lips, you said they were very kissable. You invited me into your office and asked me to close the door, and then literally asked me to kiss you, and she goes, I guess you could interpret it that way.
Yeah. She's gaslighting him. Great therapy move. And he's like...
She gaslights him so well that he
immediately goes, yeah, I guess I do have problems with,
misreading
things or, interpreting cues correctly.
And she's like, yeah, exactly. She gaslights him so hard here. And then he's like, well, that's not why I'm here, but that's not why you left Lockman Brothers, is it? It wasn't because of what happened between us, right? Gina, the receptionist, said that...
You called what I did a sexual crime, which seems a bit harsh. And Fiona's just like, hopefully you don't have to deal with Gina too much these days. She's not good.
And then she just goes, so, has seeing me resolved any of the issues you've been having?
He's like, oh, that's not why I'm here.
And she's like, oh. And she's very defeated.
Yeah.
She goes, okay, why are you here then? And he's like, well, I have a friend.
And she's like, okay, a friend. And does air quotes.
And he's like, my friend, well, she's having issues. And then Fiona goes, well, typically when we have a friend, we don't reassign the gender. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, well, obviously the friend is you.
He's like, no. It's a friend. She's having issues. She's like,
my favorite part is he's like, no. If I was talking about me, I would
just say me.
Me. And she's like,
why wouldn't I say me?
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, well then who is she? He's like, she's my girlfriend. And she's like, oh wait a minute, what? You have a girlfriend?
Yeah, he's like, and lately she's been like distant and moody and a little bit on edge. And Fiona very quickly shuts the session down. She's like, oh, it's been over 3 minutes, so
I can see your talk right now, but I can't hear you. You're muted because it has been 3 minutes.
And that's our session. I'm sorry. We can pick this up next week. Yeah. I'll see you then. And that ends the episode.
You know, I feel like she is one of the best therapists I've ever seen in TV or film. She does exactly what I understand therapists are meant to do, which is gaslight you into healthiness, right? You just gaslight people until they're mentally okay.
So that is definitely, like, ethically wrong.
Is it? But you're making them better.
Is it morally wrong?
Is it morally wrong to gaslight people? I wouldn't think so.
I'm not saying gaslighting people in general is morally okay. I'm saying gaslighting people for their own benefit. Is that morally okay?
Yes, as long as you are also gatekeeping and girl bossing them for their own benefit.
You mean girl keeping and gate bossing?
I do.
Gaslight, girl keep, gate boss.
But yeah, no, obviously she is, from the get-go, a bad therapist, even if you have no experience with any form of therapy. She literally just said that she doesn't like her job, basically, so she's only doing it for 3 minutes at a time. Assumably charging a premium, I would think.
Obviously, yeah. You
probably marketing it as like a fast, effective service for people who are too busy to have actual therapy, and marketing it towards people at like law firms and hedge funds and all that shit, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because she's literally just like, I don't want to talk about any of the things traditionally talked about in therapy because people's emotions and feelings are dumb and invalid and gross.
100%. And she's 100% right, too.
I mean, yeah, true. That's why I would never want to be a therapist.
I was just thinking about the, like, meme that men would rather do anything than go to therapy. I know we were talking about something regarding that the other night. But anyways, this isn't going to apply to you at all, Justice, because you...
Oh, we were talking about Lazarus. Oh. About how...
Lazarus season 1 is out and done.
Yeah. And Axel would rather go to prison and learn how to escape prison to avoid attachment than ever have to deal with his avoidant attachment behavior by going to therapy.
Because he, like, straight up admits in, like, I think it's episode 12.
Yeah.
That, like, he doesn't have any, like, childhood friends or family or, like, anybody to rely on because when he was young,
his friends died.
His friends died, and ever since then, he just has avoided building attachments with people. And, like, he's famous for breaking out of prison.
Hundreds of years have been added on to his sentence because he keeps breaking out of prison. And the only reason, assuming he keeps breaking out of prison, is so he doesn't form attachment with the other prisoners there.
And so I looked at Justice and I was like, men will do anything to avoid getting therapy.
Yep.
Including breaking out of dozens of prisons.
Yep.
Like I was saying, this isn't going to apply to you at all, Justice. And I just want to go back to, like, the joke with the gaslight girl keep gate boss.
Yeah.
When I say those words, I immediately, like, picture 3 different things in my head.
Okay.
So gaslight is, like, very, like, my brain is very typically, like, an old gaslighter for, like, lanterns.
I just think of a gaslight lamp.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I think of somebody like, lighting a gaslight lamp.
You think of gaslighters.
Yeah. And then when I say girl keep, I immediately
remember they had a name, didn't they? It was actually like a weirdly ominous name that's been used for like horror stuff.
I don't remember.
But they had giant.
My brain immediately pictures a woman soccer player like diving to like stop a soccer ball.
Okay.
Girl keep. And then when I think gate boss, I just see Gate Guardian from Yu-Gi-Oh like rising up and I'm like, yes, gaslight girl keep gate boss, Gate Guardian, let's go. No, Justice, that's the end of episode 1. What did you think of episode 1 of Web Therapy?
Honestly, pretty humorous. Like, it was 7.5 minutes, but it's humorous throughout. And none of it's, like, big in your face jokes or comedy, but it's just an amusing situation and, like, has some good chuckle moments.
Mm-hmm. Would you watch more?
Yeah, I would.
Fair enough. I'll answer those same questions. I enjoyed it. I thought it was charming, cute. I think the idea of a show about a therapist who is absolutely terrible at their job and actively, like, gaslighting their patients is funny as fuck.
Yeah.
And Lisa Kudrow is very good in this role. She is, in my opinion, one of the better actors or actresses to come out of Friends.
I would agree.
And she kills this role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, obviously this was also a passion project for her because, like, again, they weren't, like...
She's one of the executive producers of it.
Yeah.
One of the listed creators of it.
And season 1 was not making money. It was straight to YouTube.
Yep.
That said, I would also watch more. Before getting to episode 2, though, I do want to bring something up real fast, Justice, because we should have talked about it at the top of the episode, but we did not.
Oh, the fact that this episode is coming out on July 2nd and there was no episode June 22nd?
Yes. And first, I want to apologize to our frequent passengers, but also if you're a frequent passenger, you should be used to the fact that every summer we miss a week now.
Yep.
We miss an episode. It's just become like a tradition here at Copilots HQ.
And also, during the week we would have recorded it, there was a notable heat wave.
An insane heat wave.
And we didn't feel like turning off the air conditioning so it didn't mess with the recording during that time period.
Oh yeah, because a little behind the scenes information, we don't have a dedicated recording booth or anything, so in order to minimize the sound that you hear in the background, we turn off basically everything.
Anything that makes noise, off.
And that includes the air conditioning and or heating depending on the time of year.
Yep.
And when we would have recorded the July 22nd episode, it was like in the
June
90s.
22nd.
The June 22nd episode, you're right.
Yeah.
It was in the 90s plus heat index was like making it like 105. And like
plus
that
humidity,
was bad.
which we wouldn't have had to deal with really because it hopefully wouldn't immediately get humid inside. But
yeah, that was bad. But the fact that it was like 90% humidity most days as well, 80% humidity was even worse.
Yeah, so we didn't even want to dwell on the thought of turning off the air conditioning for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
And also, it is harder on your air conditioner to let the temperature re-rise and then try to cool off again.
Yeah.
Rather than keeping it at a constant rate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we missed that week. But that's gonna be our summer miss for this year. We do it every summer now.
It happens.
There's a week it's not even a week. I refer to our episodes as weeks.
Yeah.
Because we do 3 episodes a month, and there's only 4 weeks in a month most months, so it's about like once a week. But we always take an episode off in the summer. This was that episode.
Yep.
Now on to episode 2, which again is entitled An Old Flame Part 2.
And we get the same intro from Fiona Wallace and the same title card. And then we are immediately in the call with Fiona and Richard.
And it's the second week. She's like, welcome back. Glad you came back.
And he's like, well, yeah, I wasn't done.
Yeah, we really didn't get to anything last week.
Yeah.
And then he compliments her on how she looks. She's like dressed up in like a really nice dress with a very nice necklace with a pendant on it.
And he compliments both of those things. And she's like, thank you. You look fine too.
And he's kind of dressed down as from last week, like in a much more comfortable outfit.
Like, it's still formal casual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, before he was wearing what looked like a rather uncomfortable my big sweater vest and button down, everything all buttoned up all the way. And now he's wearing like a blazer and a white dress shirt, but it is partially unbuttoned.
And, well, not yet.
No, it has the top button undone.
But it's also very fluffy, too.
Yes.
Like, it's
breathable.
Puffed. Yeah.
So, assumedly, it's untucked.
And so he immediately dives into what he's wanting to talk about, which is the fact that his girlfriend is clinically schizophrenic.
Yes.
And he's worried that she's not taking her medicine because as good as everything's been going,
she's started acting like really twitchy and like anxious and everything.
And really confrontational.
And he thinks it's because she stopped taking her meds because she got so comfortable with how everything was going and everything was so good that she didn't feel the need to take her meds, which is actually a massive problem with people, not just in the mental health space, but with medicine in general. They stop taking it when they start doing better. Especially in the mental health space, though.
Yes,
so especially there.
Like, we have an aunt who's diagnosed BBD.
Yes.
Bipolar disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if she's taking her medicine, fantastic person, good person, like a legitimately good human being. As soon as she stops, then she gets to the point where she's like,
I don't need this.
I'm such a good person, and like, I don't need this medicine. This medicine's doing nothing for me. Stops taking the medicine.
Yep.
And I don't mean this in a derogatory way. I just mean it in a factual way. Becomes a literal psycho.
Yeah.
I know that term is considered derogatory in the psychiatric community, but sometimes you only have a limited vocabulary to work with, and that's the right word.
I mean, and also to be fair, the therapist in this therapy show will proceed to call a person crazy.
Yeah.
When literally in response to all this, Fiona calls Richard's girlfriend, just says, oh, so she's crazy, in response to him explaining her schizophrenic diagnosis and her behavior as of recently.
So she does say that, but while he's describing his worries and talking about his girlfriend,
she seems to be not paying attention.
She's clicking through folders and typing on her computer.
Yep.
And then we get the sound of something getting airdropped. And she's like, I just sent you a picture. He's like, yeah, I saw. And he opens it up, and we don't get to see it, but he's like,
oh, it's from that party at Lockman Brothers.
And then she's like, yeah, and don't you see how happy you look? He's like, well, in my defense,
you are a very beautiful woman in a very revealing dress, and I was quite drunk that night, if you remember.
And she's like, yeah, but don't you look so much happier there than you do right now? Like, you deserve somebody that makes you that happy. A smart, beautiful woman.
Like, yeah, but I was drunk. In fact, I was drinking quite a bit. And you told me to drink more so I would make advances.
In fact, you're always telling me to make advances.
And she's like, isn't it wild how you constantly remember things in this manner? And she basically starts gaslighting him again the same way she did in the first episode. And he, once again, is like, yeah, you're right. I don't know why I constantly misread cues or misinterpret things like that.
And she's like, yeah, and like that's probably part of why you're so filled with self-doubt and why you're willing to settle for less, settle for this crazy woman when you deserve somebody beautiful and smart. And she doesn't say like me, but the implication is like me.
So there's a pause there for a moment between both of them, and he looks uncomfortable. So she's like, Richard, you look uncomfortable. And I think it's because that shirt is a bit too tight, and it's very much not. There's looseness to the garment. Like I said, it looks like a normal white button up that has been untucked given how loose it is. So she encourages him to unbutton it further.
And he unbuttons like 2 more buttons, and she's like, doesn't that feel so much better? He's like, yeah, you're right. And then she goes on to like talk about how it's his self-doubt. That's
she also makes a clear statement that she only wants him to unbutton it because he looks uncomfortable and a bit warm. Definitely not in any sexual way, basically. Which, by bringing that up, obviously, you instigate that is a possibility that could have occurred.
And like she continues to like push the self-doubt aspect, and he's like, oh, I get it. And he interrupts her. He's like, what you're saying is I'm not being there for her in a way to make her know that I love her and care for her.
To make her feel like she is all the things and make her feel validated and give her the room to be those things.
And so I'm feeding into her self-doubt. And you know what? We're going to her favorite restaurant on Thursday.
And I do love her.
I think I'm going to propose.
Yeah, I'm gonna propose to her. And then he's like, thank you so much, stands up and starts to bail out of the room while yelling to his girlfriend, Sheila, I think her name was.
Sheila, yep.
To put on her party dress. They're going to
her favorite restaurant.
Yeah, her favorite restaurant. And Fiona's trying to say something, and he's just like, okay, thank you, bye, and then hangs up the call.
Yep.
And that is the end of episode 2 of Web Therapy, Old Flame, Part 2. So, Josh.
So, Justice.
What are your thoughts on Web Therapy after watching episode 2?
We've only seen the one patient, and I know there's one more episode with him, but I hope going forward, her actively just gaslighting her patients is a running bit.
Yeah.
Because it's fantastic. It's so much fun.
It's very fun.
And I like it. I like the show. It's short, it's sweet, it's funny. I don't mean like it's sweet as in like...
Yeah, there's nothing sweet about these interactions.
No, I mean it's sweet as in like it's
succinct.
Quick. It's succinct, yeah. But it's funny. I enjoy it. I would watch more 100%. Like, this is just a fun little comedy thing.
Yeah.
And the episodes are short enough that like you could probably just binge this in a couple hours.
Oh yeah, probably. I don't know about the HBO episodes.
HBO episodes are, I think, almost a full 30 minutes because it's HBO with no commercials.
So, but I would assume it's still good, probably.
And I know the HBO actually has some extended cuts of the episodes. Because the Meryl Streep episode, because Meryl Streep stars in an episode.
Yes.
It has an extended cut version. It's almost 45 minutes.
Yeah. Also, so does like every Friends cast member from the main group.
Yeah.
Plus, I think Elizabeth's actress from like earlier Friends.
Makes sense.
I think I saw someone who looked like her when I briefly scrolled through their faces, but I don't know that actress by name.
What do you think of this, and would you watch more?
I think that's going to be great when Richard comes back. He's like, I'm engaged. Thank you so much. You are an amazing therapist. I'll make sure to recommend you to people.
That's 100% what happens, right? Because we have to get new patients. So yeah.
And I would watch more. I think it's also quite comedic. I just like these two people back and forth. And you don't need more than that necessarily to tell a story or to have an entertaining like show.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like I said, it 100% feels like something that could have been, and honestly probably should have been, rebooted or like repitched during COVID. Like, this is the perfect type of content that could have been made during COVID, because it doesn't require anybody to be in the same room. It literally could be shot on webcams, and like it would fit the storytelling method of the show.
Well, even just like with how simple it is and the storytelling method of it, I know it's not, because I did see a writer on the credits.
And
it's also something that could be so like easily like an improvised like performance you would see at an improv show, being like, I don't know, I'm your therapist, and you're doing a web therapy thing. Go.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah.
And then they're a shitty therapist because BetterHelp.
Yeah, because BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a scam and garbage. But I think that's going to be it for us. We don't have much else to say.
No, not really.
But if you want to find our backlog of episodes or contact us or tell us why BetterHelp is not a scam and be factually wrong, you can do so in a myriad of ways.
Or if you're BetterHelp and you want to sponsor us, you can contact us and we'll definitely talk about how great your service actually absolutely is.
So we've talked about this before, and I think we talked about this before in the podcast, where we don't have any intention of ever accepting a sponsorship that we wouldn't actively use.
Yeah.
How much money would BetterHelp have to pay us before we negotiate our own morals?
$50,000 after tax.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I might sell for $2,000 an ad read.
Depends on how many ad reads.
Yeah.
Because
hey, BetterHelp, if you want to sponsor us for an entire year.
As long as I don't sign anything that I can't say anything against them ever.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do a fucking ad read. I will re-upload this episode before any episodes with that ad read goes, so you're aware, and it's definitely going to go in the tags, by the way.
100%.
And afterwards, I'll immediately be like, hey, you know how we just did those ad reads for BetterHelp? Yeah, fuck that, but they paid us, and now we're going to shit talk about them, and we're going to actually tell you everything we legally can about the contract they had to sign, and how shitty they are.
So BetterHelp, if you want to reach out to us and sponsor a year of episodes,
prove us wrong.
That's only 39 episodes, and my going rate, like I said, is $2,000 an episode. So
or $50,000 lump sum.
We're talking $80,000. Yeah. That's what we're looking at.
All these numbers are post-tax. That is what we need to bring in as the revenue, not as the initial payment.
But if you want to contact us and you aren't BetterHelp, or if you are BetterHelp, there's a myriad of ways to do that, including by going to copilotsreview.simplecast.com, which has links to our email, Blue Sky, YouTube, Discord, Patreon, all those things. You can email us
at copilotsreview@gmail.com,
or you can find us on Blue Sky
at copilotsreview.
I think that's everything.
Or you can find our secret hidden email, which I don't remember where you can find it, even what it is.
It's in an episode from year 1.
Yep. Have fun with that.
Maybe year 2.
Until then, though, thanks for flying, and please fly again soon.